The Red Sea Polemic. Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city. Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Hope everybody's doing well. Of course, we gotta say what's up to the party people in the chat. We got Bodega Lady Michelle up in the building. We got Nicholas DFC on the check-in. And of course, if you have not yet already, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's him again. Trying to get to 6,000 subs before year's end, and that can only happen if you guys are my street team and you go out there and just share, not just this video, but if there's a favorite video that I've done or one that you tend to go back to time and time again, share your favorite video from BK. That works as well. And we're just trying to get out here and try to get the information out to as many people as possible. And if you like how it goes down with BK, you can show your appreciation by tossing a little digital coinage and the PayPal link that's pinned on top of the chat. Or if you'd like to be a monthly supporter of BK, you can join the Patreon. We get assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible study. So, with that being said, I want to revisit something I've done maybe once or twice already. And it has a lot to do with the misunderstanding of when the Bible will reference other spiritualities, other deities, or other situations, and people would like to use that and say, well, you see, the Bible is plagiarizing, it's, stealing these motifs and concepts uh, for whatever reason, right? And the problem with that is, one, everyone keeps forgetting that Israel did not live in a vacuum. They were there. They were in the ancient Near East, what we now call the ancient Near East. They were from the region, and everybody knew everyone's culture. We know there's different loan words, and so there's gonna be some similarities to a certain extent. But many of the times when the Bible makes references of other cultures and references, it does so for two reasons. One, because that's something that the audience was already familiar with. So it makes sense to use those, for them, their pop references to be able to convey theological truths and also polemics as well. And what we're going to look at today a little bit is the Red Sea. Okay? And within the Red Sea, this is entitled Divine Parity: How the Splitting of the Red Sea Was Ancient Polemical Theology. The Exodus wasn't just a historical escape, it was the ultimate dismantling of the Egyptian gods. How so? Well, you know, as you know, we like to define things here. So the definition for polemical theology is using a rival empire's own myths, symbols, and sacred literature against them to establish the supremacy of your God. So we're basically doing almost like a Uno reverse, right? What you use as your myth, we're gonna actualize and throw it back at you, right? And the method is antithetical imitation, taking the script of the dominant superpower and ironically subverting the ending, right? So it's really, to be quite honest, it's about being disrespectful to a certain extent. What you think makes you guys special, we're gonna undercut it and use it for our own purposes. It's the Bible is constantly throwing shots at these rival worldviews. And of course, the target this particular target of this polemic is the Red Sea narrative. It is a carefully crafted theological script designed to mock and humiliate the Egyptian pantheon on their own terms, right? It's kind of like, someone try to rob you and you take their gun and you rob them instead, using the very gun that they're going to use on you. It's something like that along those lines. So of course we got to understand the source material for this polemic, this subversion of these different motifs. And the motif here is the universal villain, right? And the villain in the ancient Near East was the sea itself, the ocean. Across the ancient Near East, the sea was not a body of water. It was a raging, multi-headed dragon representing chaos and anti-creation. This is how these ancient people saw the sea. And then you would have the divine warrior, the storm god, whether it's Baal or Marduk, will engage in a fight to the death with the sea to establish order and claim kingship. This is what you'll see in different iterations and variations of creation accounts throughout the A&E. And the context to the ancient mind, bringing order out of water is the ultimate act of cosmic creation. Keep that in mind. For these Iron Age and Bronze Age people of that region, right? The idea of defeating this watery chaos monster is how these heroes, you know, gave the reasoning behind why you should follow or worship these gods, because they defeated the chaos monster of water. Okay? The Egyptian script, the Book of Gates, right? We're gathering the source material for this polemic, for this subversion. Every night, the sun god and Pharaoh, his earthly incarnate, journeys through the netherworld to battle Apep, the serpent of chaos, and maintain Ma'at, cosmic order. All right, so what you see here is Sia, the divine perception. You have Mehen, the protective snake, and you have what's known as Heka, which is basically the form of magic that they would use. All right, so to survive the night and rise again, Pharaoh relies entirely on these three bodyguards. He needs Sia, he needs Mehen, the protective snake, and Heka, the magic of ancient Kemet. So in the opening scene, all right, we see a damnation of memory. Okay, so the concept is immortality requires that a name of the Egyptian, the pharaoh, the Nesut Bidi, eternal life exists only as long as your name is spoken and remembered. Every pharaoh actually has like 5 titles. These really long and elegant and elongated titles of how great they are, right? About at least 5 different names they would have. So what happened here is known as the damnation of memory. Erasing a name completely terminates a person's existence in the afterlife. Why is that a big deal? Well, in Exodus, common Hebrew midwives, Sipera and Pua, are named and immortalized, but the God King Pharaoh is left entirely anonymous. He is erased, he's eradicated from history, which is interesting, right? Because you will hear a lot of people say, well, if the Exodus account is true, why they don't say the actual name of the Pharaoh? It seems as if the people that wrote the story didn't know. So how can we trust the Exodus? Well, the people who say that don't understand the context, the cultural context, and how it's being used against Egypt, right? Because the idea of omitting the name was done by design. It's again, listen, the Bible's being really disrespectful here, right? Because you have this great names we're not going to mention any of these titles throughout the whole text. That's done on purpose. Because we actually don't want anyone to remember you. Because that's how wicked you are. Okay? We're going to show how you was defeated. We're going to show how you was embarrassed. And part of the embarrassment is while we do this, we're never even gonna mention your name. Okay? It's brutal. It's brutal over here. So now we're gonna talk about the dismantling of these bodyguards, right? You got Mayhem the snake versus the staff. You guys seen this in the cartoons and the CC Build the Mill Exodus movie, right? The protector is devoured. Aaron's staff turns into a serpent and swallows the Egyptian magician serpents. 'Cause remember, the snakes that are in control with the Pharaoh are his protection. When Moses devours the other magician snakes, he's taking pieces off the chessboard that protect the king, which of course overlaps with Heka, the magic, with the plagues. The protector is powerless. The Egyptian magicians failed to replicate the plagues to protect the king. Their Heka is rendered useless. All right, so again, Uno reverse. We're going to defeat you by your own terms. You know, the APEP protects you, not now. The magicians have powers to defend you, they're gone. And then you have seer, perception versus the hardened heart. The protector is blinded. Pharaoh's heart is hardened. His divine perception is completely stripped away, blinding him to a pending doom. Also, this idea of his heart becoming hard, if you know anything about the Book of the Dead, you know, it's a book of spells that helps you to traverse through what they call the Duat, the underworld, so you can make it to the afterlife. Well, the final stage of the board game, because that's how it looks like. It looks like old school Atari 2600 board games, right? When you get to the final boss of these games, you know, they weigh your heart on the scale. And your heart has to be lighter than Ma'at, the feather of justice. If your heart's hard and heavy, you don't make it. So when the text keeps talking about how Pharaoh's heart is hardened, that means he's not going to make it to the afterlife. It's another shot. But you only going to understand it if you understand Kemetic culture. Okay? So now we have the setting. Lured to the abyss. The ocean itself. Yam Suf. Traditionally, it's called the Red Sea. More accurately, it's the Sea of Reeds. Okay, but in the mythic meaning, in the ancient context, this represents the primeval waters of chaos, the sea of extinction. And here's the trap. Yahweh is deliberately luring the sun god incarnate, Pharaoh, on the physical map directly into cosmic netherworld. Because remember, right? They finally leave. Pharaoh gives him permission. Pharaoh changes his mind. He gets his army to go after him. And Moses leads the people right to Yam Suf, to the Sea of Reeds. So now they're trapped, right? Allegedly, right? There's on one side is nothing but the ocean, and the other side here comes Pharaoh's army. And Pharaoh is known as the son of Ra. So right now they're running to the water, the ocean, which in Egyptian mythology is part of the underworld. All right. Now this I thought was very interesting. You know, when you look at one of their sacred texts, right? You got the Book of Gates, and hour 4 of the Book of Gates, the Egyptian netherworld, features a distinct vignette of quote walls of divided waters that eventually crash down to destroy enemies. And Exodus 14, Yahweh deliberately sets up the exact topography of the Egyptian netherworld. The stage is set for the sun god's nightly journey. He's play, Yahweh's playing in Pharaoh's face. Like, you know that thing that you got in that little book of yours, Hour 4, the splitting of the waters. That's cute. I'm gonna really do that in front of you. I'm gonna open up the netherworld in front of you. I'm gonna do it. Not your God, me. Okay? And it's the Pharaoh that's supposed to travel, right? But who ends up traveling through the quote unquote netherworld? It's Israel. Israel makes it. And this is weaponizing chaos, right? So Baal, because it's not just Egypt catching heat, right? Baal and Murdoch must fight the sea dragon in a desperate struggle for their lives. The sea is an equal rival. But here's the Yahwistic subversion. Yahweh does not fight the sea. He controls it entirely with a breath. At the blast of thy nostrils, the waters piled up. The ultimate cosmic villain is reduced to an obedient weapon. So for the Pharaoh, when he sees it, he's thinking Book of Gates, the netherworld, something that I control, that I can pass through. Yahweh saying, no, I got that. But at the same time, he's throwing shots at Baal and Murdoch because they had to wrestle and fight with chaos. Yahweh's in complete control. Like, he's embarrassing everybody here with this one event. Multiple belief systems, multiple creation accounts are catching heat from Yahweh. And here's the plot twist. The expectation the sun god safely navigates the netherworld, defeats the chaos monster, and rises to eternal life. The reality, Yahweh drowns Pharaoh in his own netherworld. Right? The soldiers of Pharaoh drown. The irony, the earth and sea swallowed the Egyptians. Right? That's the Hebrew word that's used here in Exodus 15:12. Pharaoh, the supposed defeater of the swallowing serpent, is himself swallowed by chaos. Uno reverse. Right? You able to safely do this. Your soldiers should be able to do it with no problem. It's in your sacred text. Yahweh takes that, bounces it, and flips it, and uses it as an act of condemnation to the mighty Pharaoh. So with that, the parody is complete, right? Between the Book of Gates and the Exodus. Book of Gates, the bodyguards, right? You got Sia, Heka, and Mehen secure the passage. But in Exodus, they're blinded, outperformed, and devoured by Aaron's staff. The waters in the Book of Gates safely parted and navigated. But in Exodus, they're weaponized and crashed down upon the army. The serpent, right? In the Book of Gates, it's slayed by the sun god. But in Exodus, the chaotic sea swallows the sun god. And of course, the ending in the Book of Gates is triumphant sunrise and eternal life. But in Exodus, nameless, drowned, and erased from memory forever. This is the Exodus account. And I've said this before, it's the craziest diss track you're going to see in the ancient Near East. I mean, you want bars, you want schemes, you want punchlines. That's what the Exodus account is all about. So it's usurping the pantheon, adopting the villain. By inflicting unnatural darkness and swallowing his enemies, Yahweh deliberately takes on the terrifying traits of Apep, the chaos serpent, and the foreign sovereign. Yahweh is not identified as Apep, but as a foreign god king who usurps Egypt's greatest nightmare and wields it effortlessly against Egypt's supreme deity. So there's multiple Uno reverse cards being played out here. If you're a native of ancient Kemet, you understood the punchline. If you're from Mesopotamia, you too understand the punchline because you're catching a couple of strays too. And when the people would read this, the original audience, they would catch all the quote unquote Easter eggs. You know how a movie would come out and then some YouTubers would review it and they're like, oh, they found some hidden eggs, in the film. Like there's a thing, a portrait in the background. That portrait came from this movie, and they make all these crazy connections, right? That's what we're doing right now with the Exodus, right? But there's all this connective tissue that's there if you know where to look. And how you learn where to look is to have the same source material that the writers and the original audience had. So history then becomes the new myth. What do I mean by that? Well, you got the cosmic mythology, the ancient battle against chaos before time began, and you got human history, the physical escape of enslaved people from an earthly empire. And in the middle, you have this epic of redemption. Israel historized the myth. The battle wasn't fought in a timeless mythical realm. It was fought on earth. The rescue of Israel from Egypt is the creation of a new world order. Right? This happened in real time. And that's one of the major things about Christianity that makes it different than other worldviews. Right? In a lot of different worldviews and religions, they have these myths that circulate. You know, they have a seasonal sequence of events. It's the same event that happens throughout the year. That's not Christianity. Christianity is saying that the supernatural is happening in our realm in real time and is being recorded as actual history and not myth. So these different mythologies that we see in the ancient Near East, God used it and actualized it against them. And if you're wondering where we get this information from, here are some of the sources that were cited. Definitely take a screenshot. If you could find this for yourself, you could do some deeper reading. All right. So, yeah, did dinosaurs eat Jesus? Probably not. Probably not, because he did die and he came back. So if there was any attempt for dinosaurs, they failed. Okay. So so yeah. So that's what it is, man. It's like it's crazy. Like once you see it and you know what to look for, you can't unsee it. Bible's throwing shots everywhere. Everywhere. It's just crazy. Just crazy. So again, it's not plagiarism, it's polemics. It's polemics, and it's using the material that the original audience has seen so that they can understand what's being conveyed. And what's being conveyed? Yahweh is God and no one else. No one else. And God, hopped off the porch, so to speak, and had to show them. Like, oh, you think these guys are gods? Oh, you think the water's a god? Nah, I could show that. It does my bidding. There's no fighting. I'm not arm wrestling water. It does what I say. Oh, Pharaoh, you think you're the son of Ra? Okay, well, here's some darkness for you. Oh, you think you're able to traverse the netherworld through the Book of Gates? I got your Book of Gates. I got that for you. Oh, Baal, you thought you can defeat the watery god of chaos? That's cute. We've heard about that. Watch me actually do it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 That's why they were so scared of Jesus. Because even then, in the first century, water was a very scary thing. And for Jesus to just come up there and be like, all right, be still. And the water does that. They understood what that meant. It's like, wait a minute. Only God could do stuff like that. Who are we dealing with here? Exactly. Exactly. You funny, bro. You funny. And it wouldn't be alive if we didn't have some interesting people here talking about I'm a cat made of cheese. What does that mean? It means that you're probably in the wrong video channel. So it might mean that for you. That's a good question. Was the split in the water by the Ark of the Covenant? It could be. It could be. I'm not gonna stay here and say I actually that I know that for a fact, but it could be. Well, it means that this is a Christian content channel, and it's not a cat or cheese channel. So you're not gonna get a lot of cat and cheese talk here. So you might get bored real quick. Just trying to look out for you. You know what I mean? So, but we definitely love cheese. I'm gonna entertain this a little bit. It's a channel in which we talk about, the Christian worldview, and specifically defending the Christian worldview. So that's what this particular channel is about. And I'm sure the next question is what does a worldview mean, right? So get I'll wait. Get that's next, right? No, okay. So, but yeah, guys, I just wanted to share that with y'all. I thought that might be edifying, educational for you. You're confused. Okay, it happens sometimes, and life can be confusing, but I think you'll figure it out. I believe in you. Denizen. All right. So, funny guy. So, with that being said, guys, we are out of here. Thanks for checking this out. I hope you guys like this. Please share the video, and I'll catch you next go around. All right. Peace.